Okay. Well. Beep, beep, boop, boop. We're coming at you from the future. Do you want to move your chair up a little bit?
Like
Vertically up?
Yeah, how do you do that?
This lower one.
Oh, wait, you got
Stand
it?
up again? Oh, shoot. Is that up all the way? All right, I'll go down to your level then.
Don't say it like that.
Don't worry about it. We'll do it live.
All right.
Hey, how's the future, buddy?
It's a little grainy.
A little grainy?
A little narrow, too.
Yeah, I agree. Well, folks, it's official. Apple Vision Pro is here. I've got a Safari window right in front of me. I'm actually making dinner reservations right now as we speak. Now, there is one slight issue, which is that it's seeing my Mac Pro keyboard, and it thinks that that's my keyboard, but it's not, and I can't type.
Oh, no.
So that's not great. Man.
You can't type.
Because it's connected to a keyboard, but not this one. Anyway, so we have now been with Vision Pro for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been inside of Vision Pro for 8 hours.
I still can't believe you're doing that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not the first person to do this, but I am doing 24 hours inside of Apple Vision Pro. And I would say, honestly, it's going better than I would have thought. We'll talk a bit about this more once we start recording, which, honestly, why don't we just do?
I'm going to pull up the... Jesus, this keyboard is so bad. I'm going to pull up the video, the comments, because I can barely read them on your display.
Oh, that's a good idea. See, this is very useful. I can pull up so much information, and I can just look directly into your eyes. Now, I will say, I am noticing something, which is why is both of our eyesight displays blank?
Well, mine is because I can't make a persona.
Oh, wait. Also, it seems like there is something.
Really?
It's like illuminated a small amount. Why is mine blank? It's been blank for like 2 hours.
I don't know. I don't know what happened.
It's very strange. I really wish that I could be showing you guys my eyes right now, but I can't take the headset off because then I'll lose my challenge.
Yeah, you need to keep it on. I got the comments pulled up, by the way. This is so much clearer versus like the pass-through reading the comments on StreamYard. I just look over here and it's crystal clear.
You know, that's a really good idea. Let me pull it up.
Okay, this is actually pretty cool.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go grab my other keyboard because I wish that it would... Hang on. I'll be right back.
Okay. And while you're gone, there's a question from Ethan. He said, why can't Noah make a persona? That's a great question. And I'm not sure if you can tell, but there's something, I'm trying to get it in the light. There's something a little bit off about the Vision Pro that I'm wearing right now that, among other things, seems to have removed the ability to create a persona. And we're definitely going to talk about that today.
What have we done? What a weird weekend it has been, Noah, wouldn't you say?
Certainly.
Hectic. Mainly hectic.
But exciting, too.
Exciting. I personally, I think we have differing opinions on Vision Pro. So this, I think, is going to be a good episode.
I think it'll be very interesting.
And this also looks incredible. No notes.
It looks great.
This is the future. And with that, I think we get started, shall we?
Let's do it.
Hang on a second. Got to move my virtual Safari window. Boop. Put it over there. I love throwing the windows. Have you done that yet?
Let me try it. So you go like, wee, whoa.
Yeah.
It goes pretty far. Wee. Oh, I like that. The physics of it all.
The physics of it all. Absolutely.
Oh, yes. Amazing.
All right. There we go. Confirming my dinner reservation. Oh, God dang it. That's the wrong freaking restaurant. Hang on. Let's just start the podcast. I'll figure it out on the fly. Yeah. Welcome to Dark Mode, the podcast that brings you sage advice from two technology experts. And that's not just what we call ourselves. It's what our moms tell people when the vision is pro and we know how to use it. I'm your host, Luke Miani.
And I'm your host, Noah Rubin. On this show, we take questions from listeners, attempt to answer them to varying degrees of success, and maybe even have a laugh or two along the way.
Ha ha ha. Now, I have been spending the last 8 hours inside Vision Pro. I have not removed it for that entire duration of time. And I've added more stuff to this challenge, okay? Because I didn't want to just do 24 hours inside Vision Pro. That's been done before. But I'm also going to be sleeping with Vision Pro on, which I don't know has been done before. And I'm actually doing all of this on battery alone. So I'm not allowing myself to sit, plug into the wall. I have to rely, as I am now, on daisy chaining batteries together, which is actually working quite well. I'm 8 hours into it and I'm still cooking. This battery is getting a little toasty though, because it is both being charged and powering Vision Pro.
It is a little bit goofy to have this like daisy chaining,
Yeah.
but I guess it works.
I actually was able to go out. We were out and about filming here in downtown LA for what, like almost 2 hours, I think.
Yeah.
And I was able to do all of that with 2 batteries on my person. I just, tucked it in the jacket. Would not be as easy during the summer, I'll tell you that.
That's true.
But it was pretty doable. And I was able to charge back up to full and then get a couple more hours. And now I'm charging back up again. Let's see, what did we do today? We went around town, elevators and cars.
Mm-hmm.
I cooked us some food. We went to the gym. And after this, we're going to dinner. Like, I'm fully not just in Vision Pro. I'm living inside Vision Pro. I think when I take this off, I'm going to be looking at stuff and like tapping on it, and it's going to be the brain rot is just absolutely kicking in.
I think that's definitely going to happen, but you're also going to look around and say, "Oh my God, I forgot that the real world looked this sharp and clear."
Yeah, you're definitely right, and I think, let's be honest, we got to start with the cameras, because there are some things about Apple Vision Pro that I'm absolutely in love with, and there's other things about it that make me want to blow a hole in the side of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Also, your screen has come on.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's blue.
Yeah, mine is still. Hello.
Yeah, yours
Nothing's
yours
happening.
is not doing anything.
I don't get it. So yeah, we're definitely encountering some bugs. We're encountering a couple of like just inherent obstacles about Vision Pro, but the biggest one by far and away is the cameras. Guys, I'm not gonna lie. It looks like I'm the POV. I am an iPhone 5.
Yeah, it's like the camera quality is not great. It's super grainy. It works decently well in low light, but not super great. It's just generally, I don't know. It's passable, but it's not great. And I think especially we heard like rave reviews about the pass through from some of the people that got to use Vision Pro early. And I think that's part of it, is that they way oversold it. And so we were even more disappointed, as a result of that.
I think you're exactly right, Noah. We were sort of shown footage by Apple that made it look completely lifelike. Like, obviously we knew that it was CGI.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't actually use screen recordings from Vision Pro, but we kind of assumed, based on the way it was framed, that this was going to be barely, if at all, noticeable as cameras. But I would now argue that it is absolutely the key limiting factor for this thing. And don't get me wrong, it is easily the best pass-through camera I've ever seen, like bar none, because all other pass-through cameras are pretty bad. But it's still current year. We haven't completely changed the paradigm on making these cameras. I will say, the quality isn't great, but the latency and the perspective is very good. Like, I haven't found myself bumping into things or being disoriented. Like, I can say, okay, that chair is right there. There's Noah's shoulder. Boop, I can poke you in the face. I can pick stuff up. We were playing catch earlier. Like the latency is excellent. You don't get nauseous. You don't feel disoriented. So they definitely did a good job on that.
That's a good point. Yeah, the latency is good. The depth too, like you said, things. And I think I took that for granted, because now that you mention it, and I'm like looking around, and I really do see the depth like that. I think the fundamentals are solid, but it's just the quality of the cameras. It
Right.
makes me wonder why they didn't put a higher quality camera. I think I read or heard or whatever that the cameras are actually higher quality than this, and they just downscale it in order to do all the processing and whatever.
Interesting.
So I guess maybe that's the reason.
Hmm.
Maybe if we had a better processor or more power or something, then it could be a little bit better. But yeah, definitely a rough spot.
Huh. That's very interesting, because I'm pretty sure they're 48 megapixel per eye.
The screens.
Yeah, or the cameras.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it like downscales or downsamples, whatever the word is. It like does something to the video in order to do, because obviously it has to put the interface into it and the motion blur, like whatever, all the stuff it has to do. So I think that's why.
I think there is also a degree of like, you're taking these very wide angle lenses, and it has to crop in and stabilize them. And you can tell that it's being stabilized, because when you look around, like if I stay perfectly still, things look mostly clear. But when you turn your head side to side, you can see like a radial blurring, which is typically an artifact of motion stabilizing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of locking on to a part in the world. And that's good and bad, because of course there's no motion blur. It doesn't feel like I'm looking at a camera feed. It feels like, looking through some binoculars maybe, because you do lose a fair amount of peripheral vision.
Yeah.
But beyond the cameras, I think we have to just acknowledge the fact that Vision OS is unreal.
No, the fundamental, like the interaction model of just using your hands and pinching your fingers and moving windows around and looking whatever, it's so solid. Like that's easily the most impressive part of all of this.
Like I'll give you a spoiler, okay? Today, while we were filming, I left some apps open right here in this room, and then we went out and met Sam over in Hollywood, went for a walk, came back, and my window was where I left it. That was mind-boggling. And I really was not expecting it to work. Now, I had like 3 windows open, and 2 of them ended up getting shifted to a different room. And I think the reason that happened is because I went in an elevator, which isn't like Vision Pro doesn't really know what to do with that. But the fact that it was able to, even going down an elevator and then back up the elevator and walking like almost a mile away and then walking all the way back, and it still had a window where I left it in this room, that's freaking crazy, dude. That's insane.
No, it's very like the stability of the windows just like being anchored, wherever they are, the way that you can, it's just so like I'm picking up a window right now and I can move it back and I can move it right up to me and I can move it around like this in a circle, and it's like so spot on. Like I can't describe it unless you experience it, but it's just like it literally feels like I'm somehow like grabbing, like I have such fine control over this window.
Yeah.
It's just like incredible.
No, that's because when we saw it and I saw like the pinching and using your pupils, pinching, rotating, moving, stuff like that, I was skeptical. I was like, look, we've had gesture control before. Do you remember Google Pixel 4? Do you remember they had Google Soli?
Oh yeah, it was like this like swipe over top of it to change the song or whatever.
Yes.
I remember that.
There was like a little, I imagine it was similar to like Face ID with like a dot projector, and you could like swipe this way or swipe that way. There's other things like BMW for a while has had this very, very rudimentary gesture where you go like that and it turns the volume up, or you go like that and it turns the volume down. Like we've had these gestures in the past. This it literally is the iPhone moment of gesture control. Like, set aside the whole headset thing. The fact that I can use inertial scrolling in midair with 2 fingers. Like right now, I'm in my email. I can do one of these things, do a flick of the wrist, and then catch the inbox. That's insane. Like, it's literally as good as Apple's trackpads, but it's using your fingertips and it's recognizing it completely with software through cameras. That is un I literally can't even put into words how incredible the technology is. It's actually mind-blowing.
No, I completely agree. And it's definitely something that you have to experience to like fully get it. So you should
Yeah.
definitely go to your Apple store, your closest Apple store and give it a try. But it's definitely like the multi-touch of, spatial computing or Vision Pro, whatever you want to call it. Like
Right.
It's so this is a part that they absolutely nailed.
Yeah, I would say that the eye tracking and the gestures are, like, for this being a first gen product, this being our starting point with spatial computing. I don't know, man. Geez, it's the fact that it can only get better than this is giving me a lot of optimism. What's giving me more pessimism is I've spent 8 hours in this thing, and a lot of the stuff that I've done in it was cool. But at the same time, I've had a lot of moments where I'm like, this would have been faster if I just had my phone out or my Mac.
Yeah.
Like, we were out in the middle of Hollywood. We were in Dolby Theater earlier today. And my girlfriend texted me. She was like, "Hey, what was this product that you had? Can you send me the link?" I was like, "Sure, no problem." I was connected to my mobile hotspot. So, I'm like, part of my challenge is I'm trying not to use my phone or not to use any Mac. Obviously, I have to use a Mac for the podcast, but, wherever possible, I'm trying to only rely on the Vision Pro. And I was standing there in the middle of this hallway, pinching and poking at the ceiling, trying to copy a link from the web browser. Like, it's doable. Like, I can go over here and open another tab here. It by default highlights the text, and I can hold that pinch. No, actually, I think you just want a long pinch. Nope. There we go. So that took me 5 tries for it to say, "Oh, okay, you're copying." Because what it wants to do is if you pinch and hold, you can pop it out and boom, I've opened up a new window. Cool. But it's a very, very fine line. So what I'm seeing is, in a lot of cases, it's trying to kind of guess what you want to do because the only input it has is a tap and a look.
Yeah, it's definitely like when it works, it's amazing, and it does generally work pretty well. But I have found that it's very easy to get into a situation that you don't want to be in. Like, for example, especially with the keyboard, when you're trying to type with the keyboard, the virtual keyboard, it's a very mixed experience, and very often I'll go in and I'll like start typing and I'll type a wrong character and I'll try to hit the back button, but I'll end up hitting a different character. And I'll hit the enter button by accident and it'll search for some random thing with a typo, and it can get very frustrating sometimes. It works generally well. I think the gestures work very well, but there are sometimes when you're trying to do something specific, you're trying to press a relatively small button, or look at some very specific part of the screen, and it doesn't work. And those moments like take you out of it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think when it works well, you literally can't believe your eyes. You literally are just looking at something and you're like, this looks like real life. The way that I've just pulled up settings, just the settings window, and it looks like there's a little window over there. There's a perfect shadow on the floor. It's being obscured by your hand and by the desk. So it literally is perfectly aligned on the floor, exactly how it should be. And like, I'm not even doing anything, but my mind is blown because I'm like, how is it this good? But Then if I put up my settings window up there and I go and open up another window, let's say I want to pull up a Notes app, okay? If I put the Notes app too close to the settings window, what happens is now my settings window is partially obscured. Now you can tap on it and get it back, and it covers up the Notes app. But when you have UI elements that are close to each other, you kind of run into a limitation of how precise the eye tracking can be, and it starts to become a little bit harder to click on things when you get a really full screen. So yeah, I have to say 90% of this experience is mind-blowing and life-changing. 10% is very, very frustrating. And that 10% has an outsized impact on what it feels like after 8 hours inside of this thing.
I completely agree about the like outsized impact part of it, because yeah, it's definitely like when you're using this thing, a lot of it works so well that it's like magic. And also at the same time, you kind of expect that. You're like, that's the way that the product is, that's the way that Apple markets it. It's like, it's not a virtual reality headset. It's this like thing that it just like, augments your life. It augments the real world. So you expect that. And so those moments, really do pull you out. But I am a little bit less bullish on this, or like thrilled about it than you are. So you said 90-10. I'm not sure what my answer would be, but I think it would definitely be lower than that.
Interesting. So maybe how much lower? Like 80-20 maybe? Or are you 50-50?
I don't know. I might have to be closer to 50-50.
Wow, interesting. Now, that I suppose we should clarify.
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean that you don't like it.
Yeah.
It means you think maybe it's not ready.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool product. Like it works for what it does. I think it works. And like we said, sometimes, it doesn't work perfectly and there's issues, but overall it works pretty well. But I don't know. There's just like even right now, I've been wearing this thing for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and I'm already like thinking about taking it off, like taking a break. And okay, before I say anything else, let's preface this a little bit. So as some people suggested in the chat, I am indeed wearing the Vision Pro that Sam and I broke on Friday.
Yeah.
Funny thing. We were the first people, or I guess I'll say Sam was the first person to get my
I'm just pulling you into frame a little bit
there
more.
We
Yeah.
go.
Welcome.
Thank you. So Sam was the first person to get a Vision Pro at the Grove in LA, and potentially the first person in LA, period, as far as we know. And I think the reason is because we skipped the demo and the fit test and everything. So we just, got it straight away. But Sam was the first person to get one, which is cool. And the first person to break one, I think, because, we took it back, we played with it a little bit, and then we immediately broke it. But yes, this one, the front glass is, completely missing. I don't think you can really tell on the video, but the cameras and sensors like down here are completely exposed. And if you watch Sam's video, you'll know also that the band, like right around here, right around the speakers, also like snapped a little bit. So the audio doesn't work at all, including AirPods for some reason. Even if I put my AirPods in, it says they're connected and I can switch between like the transparency mode and noise canceling mode just fine. But I cannot get any audio to play whatsoever. So whatever chip is in charge of the audio is completely busted in this one. And also, as a result of the front screen being broken, I can't make a persona. I can't, I do the thing and I can't get it to do anything. And then I put it back on and it says that it failed. And the last thing is I don't have my prescription lenses. Those were delivered to my house back in the Bay Area. So I'm currently wearing my glasses under these things. And as a result, the screens will sometimes actually pretty frequently go out of focus and come back in. So I'm not getting the best Vision Pro.
You are really not getting
I
best
will
experience.
I will preface that by saying I am not getting the best
Oh
experience.
my god.
I will get a better experience on Tuesday when I pick up my own Vision Pro, but I'm not getting the best experience right now. So maybe I will be a bit more excited after I get my own Vision Pro, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite fair, you are definitely experiencing Vision Pro pretty much at its worst.
Oh, and also the fit. This is Sam's
Yeah,
fit, not
I
it
was
wasn't
gonna
fit
say.
for me.
That was the next thing I was going to say is, yeah, it's not even your size because isn't that the same as mine? It's like a 21.
Yeah, or like a 23 or something. But I don't
And
know.
you're
I
a
had different-
33.
Yeah, I had a different size.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So I feel like perhaps with a better experience, there's more that you can enjoy. But I mean, it seems like from what you've described, the experience sounds about parallel to what I'm seeing in terms of like windows being locked in place, like how sharp and crisp the windows are, and how accurate the motion tracking is. Quite frankly, I'm impressed that it works at all without the front screen on it. Like
Yeah,
I'm
no.
literally like this is literally I'm just
Ow.
I'm poking you straight in the camera lens. Like there's nothing in front of it.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong, I'm very impressed. I'm impressed with like the experience, the software. I'm impressed with the hardware, the fact that it still works, even though, a couple of things are broken, like 90%, 95% of it still works. I'm very impressed with this product.
Mhm.
There are the few things that we talked about, and I think the more existential question of like, in a week, in a month, in a year, what am I going to be doing with this thing?
That's a good point. However, we are currently only experiencing through what Apple was able to build for it. And the few times that I've played around with like some apps that can actually put things in the world, that is where my mind is blown all over again.
Okay.
Like imagine, do you remember that there was like a VR Minecraft at one point?
Yeah.
That honestly looked like pretty bad. But with Vision Pro's resolution and the way that it is able to just absolutely lock things in place in real space, I think that it really opens a new door for like unbelievable experiences that might make it a little bit better. Like I'm imagine like Final Cut Pro reinvented to take advantage of 3D space with multiple windows. Like imagine instead of having, one square rectangle of Final Cut with like a viewer, a timeline, and a clip library. Imagine if you have a big screen for your viewer and a physical timeline where you can see and you can like zoom in, you can pinch and zoom, and you can like look at the physical clips in 3 dimensions. Imagine, let's say for programming, like just imagine removing the confines of a window. That I think is where the future lies. Right now, most of the stuff, it's very cool, but it's Windows.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now I'm carrying messages around, and I now I've put it in front of you, and I can actually scroll like an iPad. It's great. It's very interactive. It's very fluid. It looks real, but it's a window. It's a literally iMessage. So what I want to see is, to your point, what are you going to do in a month or a year? Well, what apps are there going to be in a month or a year? Could be completely different from what there is now.
That's definitely a fair point. And I think like, I don't know, just thinking about it as it is right now, maybe it's not fair, right? Maybe there will be things that come along in a month, in a year, in a week that like that really like change the experience. Because right now I'm thinking like this thing would be great on a plane, right? You strap this thing on an airplane. You could even plug the battery into the outlet at your seat, and you don't have to worry about the battery life at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got like your video. You turn on your scene, whatever that thing's called.
The environment.
The environment. Thank you. You turn on your environment. You have your big screen. You watch your movie. with your AirPods. That's another thing. You can't use third-party Bluetooth headphones, which is absolutely insane to me. Like
Yeah.
you legit, I have Bose headphones and you can't even pair them. I get that you can't do like 3D audio or whatever, but like you can't even pair them, which is crazy. But anyways, you're on a plane and you're doing this, and that seems great. Or even like I like to code on the plane sometimes, but I'm super cramped with like the tray table. I put my 16-inch MacBook Pro on the table. It's workable, but it's super cramped. If I could just like put a keyboard and a trackpad and like leave my Mac in my backpack, or even put the Mac but like have the screen be halfway up and use the Vision Pro as the screen, like that would be super, super nice. I could totally see that being a nice thing. But like if I'm not on the plane, if I'm like at my house or like at my desk at work or whatever, it's like, am I really going to strap this thing to my head and start doing whatever I'm doing in there? Or am I just going to use my TV or my phone or my iPad or my, my computer, my monitor, like whatever? That's my question.
That's a very good question. I don't know. I really don't know. God, it's so refreshing though, in a way. To be at this starting point with all of these questions, because I feel like a lot of the rest of technology is kind of at like this, like, okay, it's a little faster now, and oh, the screen's a little bigger now, and oh, there's a new feature in iOS 17, and and that's great. I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any problem with the way things are. I think we're in a really good point. Like, phones are amazing, cameras are incredible, Apple Silicon Macs are so fast. But what Apple's doing here is they're saying, okay, look, we're going to try something new. We're really pushing the boundary. And as much as it's easy to make fun of, because I look like an idiot who just got into like a skiing accident, and I spent way too much money, and the cameras look like they're from 2010. As much as all of that might be true, you also can't deny that this is a big risk and a bold forward-facing move. They say, oh, Apple doesn't innovate anymore. Rah, 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 rah. You can't say they're not trying, because this is absolutely, unequivocally one of the biggest, boldest moves that they could have made as a company like Apple. Even with devices like Meta and the Quest line and all the existing VR and AR applications, those are all fine and good. This is not replacing any of those. People get very defensive. But this is saying, like, look, okay, we have headsets now, so let's do a headset that doesn't try to remove you from the world, but tries to add things to the world. And I really like that concept.
Yeah, it's as far as like the innovation is concerned, it's on a whole other level, because you can say like, first there's the thing of like Apple making, a headset. I'm not going to call it a VR headset because that's not what it is, but like Apple making some sort of a headset. And you could be like, well, yeah, other companies do that too. But like there are things in this headset that no other company has done, and maybe they'll do it eventually, but they're nowhere near. I'm talking the things like the gestures, right? The gestures and the eye tracking and just looking around. Most other headsets, as far as I know, and I'm not like an expert on this stuff, but as far as I know, most, if not all of the other things, have dedicated controllers that you hold in your hands and do all that stuff. Apple doesn't do that. You just use your hands. That's pretty crazy. There was you don't do any sort of like room scan. There's no like guardian, like you set up your room and say this is where the walls are, and it like detects whatever.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You just put it on and it works. It doesn't ask you to set up your room at all, and you can walk around with it. You can take it wherever you want, and it just works. That's another huge difference.
That is very true, and it does a lot of the same things, right? Like, so technology at this point for augmented reality doesn't have the ability to fully occlude everything. Like if I have a messages window open up here, if I put it right in front of my monitor, but part of it is overlapping, there is a little bit of like a visual disconnect, because like part of that virtual window is behind what should be a physical object, but it still displays in front. And like if I go and put it here, right now it's in front of you, looks completely photoreal. I can now push it all the way through you, but it's still in front of you, and it's kind of like paradoxical. So we're not at the point yet where it can do that full occlusion, but they do have the ability to sense depth. Like if I put the messages window in front of my monitor, the messages window is completely opaque. And if I then push it back and now it's behind the monitor, it's actually slightly transparent. Like I can see what's on the actual screen that's in front of it. So they do have that depth. You know, I can push it all the way through my wall here. And actually, no, I can't. It kind of bumps into the wall and it won't let me push it further. So like, yeah, you can see that it is aware and compensating for the real world. And that's something that's really hard to show on screen recordings, by the way. I tried to show everything as best I could in my video, but man, if you live near an Apple store, I don't care if you think this is dumb or if you're like, when can I get one? Try it. Just go in and try it, because even in the best, like highest quality YouTube video that you can possibly find, nothing compares to actually seeing it with your own eyes. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, 100%. Like, just there's no harm. They're not gonna make you buy one or anything. Just schedule like the 20-minute. I think it's like 20-minute demo or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a try. See what it's like. At the very least, you'll have an idea of like what we're talking about here. So it's 100% worth giving it a try.
You know what else we should give a try?
What?
The super chats that we've got waiting
yes.
here. Look at that. Great segue. And I can
yeah, you're gonna.
I'm not gonna read that one, but that's fine. Thanks for the super chat. Here's another one. Same person. Our friends in Greece love me. Any meetup in Greece? Oh, geez, I don't know about in Greece.
If they want to fly you out or fly us out there and set that up, that'd be a fun trip.
Yeah, I would go to Greece if you guys want to get me out to Greece. Actually, that seems sketchy. If I get an inbox where it's like, come to Greece, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe not. I can virtually call in with my persona, and it'll be like I'm in the room. It's so photoreal. I can't wait for you to get yours. I'm so excited.
Oh, it's gonna be bad. I'm scared.
Like, some of them aren't actually that bad though.
Yours is not that bad. It really isn't that bad.
It's a little, I don't know. See, my take on the personas and on the front screen have shifted a little bit, I would say. So I am curious, chat, what do you guys think of the persona and the eyesight display? Because I would say that my opinion on the eyesight display has changed more, especially now where, for whatever reason, it's not working.
Yeah.
It looks weird. Like, if you guys are watching this, even Noah's just like doing his little animation. Oh, and now it stopped. I don't even know. Is it a bug? Is it a feature? Who knows?
I don't know what's going on.
But the fact that mine is off completely, I'm like, okay, I see why they wanted to do that. Because even just seeing my own face in the monitor, I'm like, this looks very strange. You can't see where I'm looking. It does feel disconnected. It's like I'm in a pair of very tinted goggles. But when we were out filming earlier today and the eyesight displays were working, we talked to probably a dozen people. And every single person said, man, that's creepy. But yeah, no, it's better with that than without it, because I can see you and I feel like I'm making eye contact, even if it's weird and dystopian eye contact.
Yeah, exactly. And it is like genuinely impressive. Like, it tracks when you blink, it tracks where your eyes are looking, obviously. So it's like you or Sam or someone did a demo where you're like, oh, I'm looking over to the right. Can you tell that I'm looking to the right? And they're like, yeah, I can tell. You're looking to the left. I can tell. So it's like, it really does, as much as they are creepy and it doesn't really look right. They look kind of stretched out. I think and obviously the screen is in front of your face. So the eyes are, they try to make it look like it's, inside, but realistically it's not. So it does look a little bit weird. It's definitely uncanny valley. But there's just something about seeing someone's eyes when they're wearing this big, bulky, shiny black headset, the fact that you can see their eyes, it
Mhm.
really does do something. It really does make a
Yeah.
difference.
And it's the type of thing that as a software feature can be improved. And I think that makes me feel more comfortable about it. Like if it was a hardware thing, like the cameras, right? The cameras are not realistically going to get that much better. So that's like, I ding the device for that.
Mhm.
But the persona and the eyesight display, those are software controlled. That means that we could get an update in a couple of months. And all of a sudden, hey, this looks a lot better now. So I think that you do kind of have to look at this from like we're on, what is this, day 2 with Vision Pro, full day, maybe
Yeah.
day 3, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's room for improvement, but some of it can come before there's a Vision Pro 2. So we have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot that can be improved in Vision OS. Like there's a lot that can happen before, because we were talking, I think maybe Sam and I were talking about this, but like when is the Vision Pro 2 going to come out? And I don't think it's going to be an AirPods Max situation, because that's just too long. We need if this is going to be one of Apple's core products and maybe even, the future of the company, they're going to want to keep the updates coming. But at the same time, is it really going to be 1 year from now? That seems a little bit too soon.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, I think that we've all kind of been waiting for this moment for so long that we never really thought about what's next. Now that Vision Pro is on my face, what's the next step? What do you do for Vision Pro 2? I mean, I've got a wish list: lighter, better cameras, better FOV.
Yeah,
that's my wish list, and lower price.
Yeah,
that's another word. But I mean, we spent so long getting here that I don't think we ever thought about, like, is this like a every year product? Is this a every other year's product? Is this a AirPods Max where they just sell it for 4 years unchanged? I don't know. I kind of feel like it's going to be regular.
I feel like it has to be, if this is like Apple's next like core product. And there's like so much. I mean, first of all, this thing has an M2 chip in it.
Yes.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yes.
So that's already like, they could put
M3.
They can put M3. I feel like
ray tracing.
Yeah, I feel like there's quite a bit that they could do in the Vision Pro 2 that would be, pretty easy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And it actually makes you wonder, like, how much of this development was fast tracked by Apple Silicon, because we've heard rumors about like a headset for a long time, since before we had Apple Silicon. So you have to imagine that at one point they were working on this with like iPad chips, and then M1, M2 come along, and it's like, oh wow, okay, well we can do a lot more with this. Now we can have multiple windows. I still have not gotten to a point where I have filled it up. Like, I haven't gotten to a point where it said, nope, no more windows. You can just keep going and going and going. I filled a room up. I had to go to another room and start putting windows in that room. But I haven't gotten to a point where the processor feels limited. There have been some moments of like very momentary lag or stuttering, but that almost feels software as opposed to hardware. There's just something about this early stage OS that seems to be more limiting than the actual product itself.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a very solid start. There's, quite a bit that they can improve, but I think we'll get a lot of improvements through software. Another thing we were discussing was like, will there be a Vision OS update at WWDC this year?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, there's got to be some amount of update.
Right.
Is it going to be a significant update? I think that there's quite a bit of like low-hanging fruit. Like, for example, you can't rearrange the app icons on the home screen.
You're right. I didn't even notice that.
There's like little things, and that's that's the classic like original iPhone. You couldn't do that on the original iPhone OS
Yeah.
either. So there's a lot of low hanging fruit like that, even before like fundamental changes. There's half the apps on this thing are iPad apps, and
Yeah.
those need to be turned into Vision OS optimized apps. Imagine the Maps app optimized for Vision OS. Like that will be super super cool when that happens,
Dude, I mean, even the iPad Maps app is super cool.
yeah.
Like I'm not even doing anything on it, but periodically throughout the day, I've opened up the Maps app just to play around with it. And like there's just so many different things that you can do. Like right now, speaking of the Maps app, I've opened it up in front of me. And one of the things that I don't even think we realized going into this,
Mhm.
and something that certainly the Oculus crowd cannot compete with,
Mhm.
there's just no way, is not only do you have windows around you, right? That's been done. MetaQuest Pro has the ability to create virtual displays around you.
Mhm.
That's all well and good. What we can do is take it a step further, which is I'm now holding the Maps app and I can put it way over there. So now I have a perfectly clear view. It's about maybe 8 to 10 feet away. I can zoom out, I can zoom in, I can rotate it around, I can go into 3D mode, I can go to 2D. Great, love it. But then I can pluck it out of thin air and bring it right up close to me. And now it's right here, right in front of me. Oh, I accidentally just clicked there. And this is a feature that absolutely blew my mind when I found out about it. If you bring an app close to you, you can touch it. It's not just a virtual thing. It becomes almost physical because I can take only index fingers, same with the keyboard, right? And you can just put your finger on it and move it around. Like I'm literally scrolling through the Maps app. Get out of here. Get out of here. You're scrolling around my Maps app. You fooled it. You're too close to me. The perspective is too similar. Let me move it out of the way. There we go. I'm getting it out of your clutches. But I'm literally, it's like I have a 20-inch iPad right in front of me and I'm scrolling around in it. It's truly just insane. It almost makes you wonder, maybe in a couple of years, you can have a fully virtual iPad. Imagine that.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, that's sort of what this thing is almost in a way. I feel like if this is going to replace anything, it's going to be the iPad because
I agree.
it's not at least in its current form, it's not going to replace the iPhone because it's not meant to be used when you're walking around, when you're outside, whatever.
Yeah.
You can't, we've done quite a bit yesterday and today of walking around with it, but you can't the apps stay where they are in place. And so if you want to take it with you, you have to actually hold it, keep your hands pinched and move it with you. And you can't interact with it while you're holding it. So you have to stop walking, put the app down and then interact with it.
Yeah.
Which you can do. But it's very much not meant for walking around, which makes sense. But it's not going to replace your phone. It's not going to replace the Mac yet because it's not powerful enough. You can't do all of the stuff that you can with the Mac. You can mirror your Mac to this thing and have a big display, which is awesome. But you still need a Mac at the end of the day. But I feel like the iPad, at least the way that I use it, for like basic productivity and entertainment and like those kinds of things, you definitely could use the Vision Pro instead of that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that for sure. Like obviously a lot of people have been comparing Vision Pro to an iPhone killer. They're like, this is the iPhone moment. But at least for right now, I definitely agree that the really killer feature is as an iPad replacement. It's entertainment. It's productivity, sure. Like I also just pulled up our chat on stream here and now I can look at it and it's definitely a lot clearer than looking over there. I can get a sense of what people are doing. I can see, okay, our stream looks pretty good. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and give it a like. So the like ratio just increased. Like,
Amazing.
these are definitely things that you can do on other Apple products. I think that's a key point, right?
Right.
Right now, apart from the like the media watching experience with those huge screens and the cinema mode that you were playing with and like the environments, that's new, but it's a new way to do existing things.
Right.
And it's a really good way to do them. And you know, yeah, you can make fun of it, right? We've got Bob here in the chat saying, "Oh, it's a $4,000 iPad." Not quite. I would argue that it can be more useful than an iPad in some ways. It can also be less useful than an iPad. You know, the iPad's been around for 14 years. The Vision Pro has been around for 14 hours, basically. So, yeah, obviously there are some areas where this is stellar.
Mhm.
There are some areas where it for sure needs improvement. But I am noticing here, someone says they think it'll be discontinued in a few years. No one will be wearing these all day. It won't be anyone's main environment for working. This is Apple's Google Glass. I think that is 100% wrong. I think it is. I don't think you could be more wrong than that. I'm going to stake my claim on Vision Pro being here to stay. And the reason for that is, as we have discussed before, and as I've said many times on the channel, which is you can't really judge an entire, possibly 20-year product line based on the first 2 days of its first generation. As limited as it might seem, and as much like you've said yourself, maybe people don't know what they're going to do with it in a month or a year. That's all fair. But this is Apple we're talking about. They don't tend to introduce a product category that they don't plan on sticking with.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time that they've really discontinued something recently, a product line, would probably be the iPod. But that's because it basically got consumed into the iPhone.
Yeah.
So I don't really think there's any precedent to suggest, certainly not since Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997, for discontinuing a product lineup. And what you look at is the very fundamentals. What we were talking about, the pinching, the incredible motion tracking, the stable 3D space environment that it creates. Those are the things that this is introducing. The form factor, the cameras, the use case, that can all change. But those core technologies, like multi-touch for the iPhone, that's what's here to stay.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you just take a second to think about it, think about all of the time and effort and resources that Apple has put into this thing. There have been rumors and patents and stuff since like the original iPhone, or even before the original iPhone. There were patents and discussions about Apple's building some headset, whatever. This thing has been in the works for so long, and there's so many resources, and just using it, you can see like all of the effort that was put into this, like how magical it is and whatever. And then at the same time, also, this is being launched as like a consumer product that, you can go out and buy. Google Glass, I think you could buy one, but it was never like advertised as like a consumer product. I think it was always just like a development thing, or it was meant for like enterprise users or whatever, but it was never at the level that Vision Pro is at as far as, consumer is concerned. And lastly, just looking at Apple's track record, like you said, they don't just release something and give up on it, that soon. I think Apple's definitely in this for the long haul. Like, given all of this evidence, I have no reason to believe that Apple would, give up on this anytime soon. I think that they're in it for the long haul. And I think that this is a very impressive, first effort. And the fact someone in the chat said earlier, this is the worst that Vision Pro that we'll ever have.
You're right.
Which is a really great point. Like it's only going to get better from here. It might take a year or two before we get new hardware. It'll take at least a few months before we get significant software updates. But like, it's only going to get better than this. And it's already pretty impressive. I think Apple's in it for the long run.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any chance that they just go, well, we tried. Oh well. And I'm happy about that because you just know that when with one company is able to do this, it opens the floodgates. People are absolutely going to be reverse engineering this. Like it's not going to be a coincidence when all of a sudden gesture controls start becoming more and more commonplace. I think it's the type of thing that has always seemed goofy because it was never intuitive. But now that I'm sitting here and I can just look at something and pinch my fingers and open up a Safari tab, like I was just checking while you were talking, I was just checking the prices for used Google Glass on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, just sitting over here chilling, checking out how much it would cost for me to buy one. And it literally feels like there's just something about the way that it works in your brain where even though I'm just pinching my fingers and going like this, it just feels right. It just works. It makes sense. It's now that this technology exists and it works and people can get used to it, I think even beyond AR glasses like this, we could start to see gesture control on phones. Like, who's to say that Apple can't take this technology, which only uses, as far as I'm aware, cameras and maybe LiDAR? Why can't you put that on an iPhone? Why can't you all of a sudden have your iPhone sitting there and you can like do a little gesture? Or why not have that on the Mac? Could you imagine if you had like an Apple display with gesture control and you could sit there and pinch and do all that stuff? Like it just opens the floodgates for more technology. And I really think that, you don't have to buy it. You don't have to like it, but it's very telling for the technology community that we've spent all this time complaining about a lack of innovation. Oh, nothing's different. It's all just rectangles in our pocket, blah, 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 blah. And then companies like Humane and Rabbit and now Apple come along with these actually genuinely different takes on stuff. Whether it works or whether it doesn't, I applaud them for trying.
Yeah, definitely. This is like super exciting. It's an exciting time. And I will say, this is the longest that I've been in Vision Pro. It's no 8 hours or almost 9 hours for you, but it's definitely the longest that I've been in Vision Pro continuously. And I was thinking like 20 minutes into the podcast, I was like, ugh, this thing is like starting to kill me. I'm not feeling it. But
Yeah.
I kind of just ignored that, and I still feel it on my head, but like it's bearable, and it's like I'm sure when I take this off, I'm gonna say, "Wow, look at how clear the real world is." Like these screens are super crisp and clear. The pass through, we already talked about the pass through. When I take this off, I'm gonna be glad to take it off for a bit, but like I don't know, it's not too bad, and just like I don't know, glancing every time I look over here to my left. And I see these comments, and they're crystal clear, and I can just pinch and go like this to scroll through the comments, and it just works. It's like I don't know, dude. There's something magical about it.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you now, having the experience of being here for 8 hours, we're actually closing in on 9.
Yep.
After 9 hours, I will say, I've had moments where I'm like, get me out of here. I need to be out of this thing.
Yeah.
But I've also had moments like right now where I'm like, I can't wait for the time when this is more comfortable for me to wear for this amount of time.
Yeah.
I can't wait for there to be a day where I don't need a battery hanging off of my face. And this is a lot more light and breathable with better field of view and cameras. And I would be perfectly happy. Literally change nothing about the OS, just make it lighter and better quality. And I could definitely see myself staying in here, especially given that Apple isn't trying to do what other companies are doing and say like, this is the product. No, what they're doing is integrating it, right? Like, yeah, you can't do everything in Vision Pro, but you don't have to. You can connect your Mac. So you're still in Vision Pro, but now you have a full Mac with like a 50-inch screen. And honestly, I am not experiencing eye strain. I'm not experiencing like dizziness or nausea because I can put everything at a really comfortable viewing distance. Like the text is large, so I'm not focusing my eyes. I can put things really, really far away and it's still readable because it scales really perfectly. It just does so much well. Ah, man.
It is really, and you know what? One of my big concerns about Vision Pro was the fact that a lot of the stuff that we have is like in Windows.
Mm-hmm.
And before we had this, maybe it was last week or 2 weeks ago or something, I said that was something that really worried me. It's like, why do I want to have a bunch of virtual screens when I can already have screens on my Mac? And I still think that to a point. I think that the experiences that come out of a screen are especially like cool. But at the same time, like having this screens, like I have the chat up here, and like if I can move it in front of the regular screen and kind of look at it straight on like this. Just being able to like pick it up and move it around so easily,
Mm-hmm.
like wherever I need it, and I can just quickly like do. I don't have to like pick up my phone and like look down at my phone. I can put things in front of me in the real world. I feel like obviously I couldn't wear this while making a video, but like if I could have like if I could and I put the transcript, the script that I'm trying to read, and I could like look at the camera and just have the script right in front of me and just read it and be looking at the like whatever things like that would just be really cool. Like there is something, even though the things are in a window and it's like, why do you need windows? It's still cool even when it's in a
Yeah.
window.
Dang. And I will say one final note, because it sounds like we've definitely, I think, shifted our tone. We started with a little bit of negativity, and there are things that you will, if you try it out, I guarantee a lot of the people that have these negative opinions, I don't think they're going to be dissuaded.
Yeah.
But I encourage you to just try to see past the first generation stuff and see, like that one comment said, that this is the literal worst that Vision Pro will ever be. Day 3 of generation 1.
Yeah.
It literally could not be any worse than it is right now. And it's already so incredible. And I'm already getting so used to just like picking stuff up and moving it around. Like, I modified our dinner reservation while we were here. I've been texting people. I've been like fully immersed, and I'm not like having to look over and squint at a screen and zoom in. I actually just found a setting, by the way. If you have a window that's too small, there's a setting that allows you to zoom a whole window. So you can just look at the window and do this. Do like the Donald Trump speech thing, and it makes the whole window get bigger. So I can be like, oh, that messages window way over there, it's a little small. Oh, now it's absolutely gigantic. And it's like just the little things like that just work so well. I can just pull my Safari window up here, and now it's a tablet. But I also don't want to overshadow some of the negatives. The biggest negative for me has been YouTube is unusable. And that's not just on the web app, which, as you might imagine, is not great because it literally works like a normal website. But also, I'm a little disappointed with Juno. If you guys are watching, if you have a Vision Pro, you might be familiar with Juno, which is it's a YouTube client built for Vision Pro. It needs work. It honestly needs a lot of work. It's way better than using the YouTube website when it works well. But the biggest issue that it has is he kind of worked to address the scrubbing problem, like with desktop YouTube without a mouse. It's very confused. It doesn't really know what you want. But the replacement for that is, okay, well, now you can scrub anywhere. So you just look at the video and you pinch and you move it around like this. And that's really great. But the problem is, as you might imagine, this is Vision Pro. Most of what you're doing is this.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is, I'm like, when we were cooking food today, I'm like texting someone and I go to move my YouTube window and boom, I skip to the end of the video.
Yep.
And then I don't know where I was. And then like the resizing, it gets messed up. Like, yeah, YouTube is by far the most frustrating experience for media consumption. I honestly can't even speak to some of the other stuff because I haven't even gotten a chance to watch a movie on this thing yet, which is the thing I was most excited for.
Yep.
So after dinner today, I think we got to do that.
Yeah, we definitely have to watch a movie. I think, I've been wearing this thing for like an hour.
Yep.
And it's been fine. I think I could make it through a movie in this thing.
Really?
I'm gonna go for it.
I'm really happy to hear that because I think you're experiencing what I experienced when I first tried it, which was like after 20, 30 minutes of being in here, I was like, oh man, this is heavy and my eyes are getting hot. But then it kind of doesn't really get worse than that. Like it just it gets to the point where I'm like, and then it stays there and I can kind of tune it out. And then every once in a while I'm like, oh man, I really wish I could take this off, but I have 18 more hours to go. And then I'm okay.
Dude, I don't know. It's so cool. Just like I'm in the Messages app, and if I want to like do tap back on something, if I just pinch my fingers together, it doesn't do anything. But if I pinch and hold, then it does like a 3D touch kind of thing. And then I can select, or I just grabbed the message and I can go move it, somewhere else. I can stick it in Safari if I really wanted to. I don't know. It's just, there's a lot that's here that's very impressive.
And I will say also, Noah, when you add a keyboard, it helps a lot. Like,
yeah,
I was sitting there. Well, you were taking a shower after we went to the gym, which by the way was also really cool because I could watch a YouTube video in the gym, which I've never done before. But when you were taking a shower, I came back and I had a group chat, I had email, and I had a big old window of YouTube. And the YouTube window, as long as I don't touch it, is great. As long as it's just sitting there. I was sitting there on my couch with just a keyboard in my lap. That's it. And I was only using this, occasionally. I could rest my arms on the armrest of the chair and just look around. And I was like, dude, this is unbelievable. I wasn't doing anything crazy or new. So I will preface that it was probably not worth $3,500 to be able to do that. But it was like, okay, I see the vision. I see where this is headed, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to get mine and get the proper experience with Vision Pro, but just this initial experience that I got with the semi-broken one is already pretty cool.
I keep forgetting that yours is like messed up.
Yeah, it's a bit janky.
And you don't have audio.
No audio.
God.
The screens keep refocusing, which is a little bit annoying.
Well, what do you get yours on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I'm getting it Tuesday afternoon.
And aren't your lenses already here?
My lenses are already at my house. Yeah.
Oh, see, yeah, I think it's gonna get a lot better. I mean, even though the experience is mostly the same, I think you're gonna find it way more enjoyable when the focus is constant. The audio. We didn't even talk about the audio. The speakers are freaking crazy.
Oh, they're so good. I got to experience it briefly before we broke this one. And the speakers are really good.
Like literally if I'm at home when this thing came out, okay? I'll preface it with this. When they announced it at WWDC and I saw these little speaker pods on the side and they were like spatial audio, I was like, okay, they said that about everything. The iMac has spatial audio, but it sounds pretty bad. I was like, okay, it'll be fine. I'll just sit there on my couch and I'll AirPlay to my Sonos. I now retract that. I think this is so good that if I'm at home alone, I would be more than comfortable watching a movie just with these built-in speakers. They're that good. It's genuinely. The audio team pulled out all the stops for these because they are phenomenal.
Dude, also, I'm getting used to this virtual keyboard.
Yeah.
I'm actually typing like decently fast.
Here's my question, because I've been switching between methods. Which do you prefer, chicken pecking or tapping?
Oh, I haven't even tried tapping yet. I literally have only done the pecking.
Interesting. Maybe that's what I'm missing because I'm still a little bit iffy on the keyboard. I do really like using the physical keyboard, and you know what? I have another one that I can give you to pair because my favorite thing about it is the Vision OS can actually see the keyboard here, and it has a little window that is sort of floating just above the keyboard
Oh, with the autocorrect.
with the autocorrect.
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
it shows a text preview. So whatever you're typing, like if I have a message window over here or even a Safari window up there, if I'm typing down here, whatever is in my line shows up right above the keyboard so I can see it. And you have the 3 auto suggestion things and autocorrect options. So you can be sitting here and I can be like, this is a great experience and will be getting better. Like you can have that combination of like typing and tapping, and it's crazy. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I definitely think that a physical keyboard would help.
I mean, it's passable.
Yeah.
You can get by in a pinch.
Yeah, it's passable. If you're just searching for something really quick, it's definitely passable.
Man, there's a lot to unpack. I hope you guys found this video helpful. This podcast episode was a little bit rambling because we're going through it. I know I can see from the chat that there are others that are trying Vision Pro here. Somebody said to try without the light seal actually, and that is, you tried that.
Yeah, we did try, or at least I tried. There's 2 parts. Oh, geez, the keyboard. Okay, there's 2 parts. There's like the cushion that's right here, this like gray part, and then there's a really big part, right? And I tried it first without the cushion and then without both pieces, and it actually does, like, obviously it's very close up in front of you and it like kind of bothers my eyes a bit, but it definitely increases the FOV, and it feels, especially if you take both pieces off and it's just the computer. First of all, you realize just how small this thing is.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really big because of this, like, hollow piece, but it's really small. But that's part of it. And then the light, that the surroundings bleed through, because the whole point of this big thing is to, keep the outside out. But as long as you're not using an environment, I'd argue that's actually a good thing, because it feels more immersive. If you're doing the pass through and it goes all the way to the edge of your vision, and part of it is legitimately just like, going through the eyes, it's pretty cool.
So we've gone significantly over time. Yeah. I kind of expected that would happen.
Yeah.
But here's my vision, if you will, for where I would see this going in the next couple generations. I'm not sure if Apple plans on this always being a headset. I would like to see it evolve to be glasses, but I think it would be really cool if they could get it to a point where we can remove the light seal. We can have we'll keep the head strap. Like, I like the Solo Knit loop. Mm-hmm. It, as a design, it's really, really comfortable. Like, obviously the weight on my face, yes, but around the rest of my head, phenomenal. So I would like to see a point where we can keep it being like a strapped on device, a strap on, if you will.
I'm not sure about that.
But I'd like to see the light seal removed and the weight reduced, get it thinner. We can keep cameras, we can keep screens, but have it be sort of like a thin bezel almost around the screen, and then it's just the real world. And with better cameras, you could kind of get to a point where I guess you would have windows cutting off when they leave the screen, so that might break the immersion a little bit. But I could see that being very successful.
Yeah, I definitely think, like, obviously, look, if you want to be in a virtual environment, then having this thing, to block out the light is good. But I wonder if they could make it optional, where it's like if you want to use, AR like full pass through mode, then you could take it. I almost wonder if you could take off this big piece and just put the cushion. I don't think it'll fit right, but like if you could, that would be pretty cool. So you could be like, if you want the environment, you want the isolation, you can put this thing on. But if you could use it without that and it's a little bit lighter and it's a little bit smaller, like
Mhm.
that could be kind of nice.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. Oh man, we could pontificate for ages, and I'm very curious. I think next week's podcast is going to be a really good one because you'll have your real fully functional Vision
Mhm.
Pro, and we'll both have had more time to like learn how to use it, see what more we can do with it. I would love to. Is that your phone or
That's
mine?
my phone.
Where's my phone? Oh, here it is. I would love to get some more apps coming out, figure out more use cases. I think next week is going to be a very, very cool show as well. I think we should also try to figure out if we can do a show with our personas. That would be very fun.
That at the very least a cameo.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I'm also going to see if I can figure out how to do a stream where I can pass through video from the Vision Pro, because that would be cool as well.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Lots to think about, lots to do. We've gone 11 minutes over time.
Ugh.
Frankly, I thought it would be more, but I got to get back to filming this 24 hours in Vision Pro video.
And I got to get this thing off of my head.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, you're not doing that for a while, buddy.
No, I got a lot more. I got 15 more hours, I think.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching and listening, or for visioning. Let me know if you stream this in Vision Pro. I will be seriously impressed.
Yeah.
Because that would actually be really fun.
That would be pretty cool.
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm like totally derailing our outro. Imagine, like, when we do event streams and we're always talking about, open the Apple stream in another window and keep us
Yeah.
open. In Vision Pro, you could have us floating over there, turn our volume down, have the Apple stream right in front of you in an environment. That would be incredible.
That would be pretty cool. Even for us using, like, it would be like I could use Vision Pro to watch the event and then still have the camera like pointed at me. And if I have to check my view, I'll just turn off my environment.
Yeah,
like that could be kind of nice.
that could be kind of nice. The only problem is we look like this.
Well, it's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, we'll go with cool.
Yeah.
And we'll also go with thank you so much for watching this episode. It was good to have a little spontaneous in-person dark mode. We don't get to do those super often, but a lot more often now that we're on the same coast.
Yep.
So a big thanks to you guys for tuning in. I'm very, very curious. It seems like a wide range of opinions on Vision Pro. So I'm very, very curious to see where this goes. It's very exciting to be here.
Yeah.
And I've been your host, Luke Miani.
I've been your host, Noah Rubin. We'll see you next week and have a great night.
Take care.
Oh, let me get this thing on.